Welcome to The Sound, KQAL FM's weekly behind-the-scenes look at Minnesota-made music. From writing and recording to distribution and promotion, The Sound is your source for new releases and exclusive interviews from Minnesota artists. Support for The Sound is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Rolling. Tonight on The Sound, we check out Sweet and Lonely, the latest release from Sleeping Jesus frontman Nick Elstad. Sweet and Lonely is a lo-fi bedroom pop project that Nick has been working on over the past year. With 4 singles and a potential EP in the works, Sweet and Lonely delivers a brand of pop that is, well, both sweet and lonely. The good hooks and good vibes of Sweet and Lonely will leave you feeling like relaxing in a hammock on a breezy summer day. I'm Bill Stoneberg. Stick around for some cool tunes and cool conversation with Nick Elstad of Sweet and Lonely, tonight on The Sound. That was Peace and Quiet by Sweet and Lonely. That was released back in September 2020. And we have Nick Elstad. And Nick, we know Nick from Sleeping Jesus here in Winona, the creative mind behind Sweet and Lonely, on the phone today. Nick, how you doing today?
Doing great.
Good to hear from you. We like we were talking before I turned the mics on here. It's been a while. I think probably 2 years or maybe even more. I don't know, since I've had you in the studio.
Yeah.
Back then it was for Sleeping Jesus. And you now reside in Minneapolis. I think last time I talked to you, you were still living in Winona, perhaps?
I think so, yeah. We moved almost a year ago, last April 2020.
Okay, yeah. So how are you liking it up there in Minneapolis?
Enjoying it so far. It's been a lot of time at home still with the pandemic, but things are starting to look a little brighter around here and the weather's looking up, so.
Right. Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy year up there, but, well, everywhere. But I love Minneapolis. It's a fantastic town, especially for music, right?
Right, yeah, that was one of the main draws to come up here for sure.
Right. How did, so Sweet and Lonely, you've been releasing some stuff here and there online, singles, one at a time. How did the project come about? Like, where did it come from? What's the inspiration for it?
Over the last summer, basically, I was away from the band, obviously, and we were trying to stay distant just to be smart and safe. And
right.
I kind of just wanted to put some energy into trying out some different styles of songs that were somewhat related, but also inspired by like different things like lo-fi music, some hip hop, and just kind of work on my own production and get back to making things like fully on my own. Right.
And I want to get to that production part and the lo-fi in a little bit, but before we do that, so you're kind of releasing just singles, and there's not a full album. Do you have like a schedule for that, or how is that working out, and how did it come about?
My goal for it was to kind of release a new single every month, and I haven't really stuck to that fully because I guess I would rather make sure the song's up to par before I release it, but. For the time being, it's been fun just to put out singles and kind of give each song its own little world to exist in. And I'm thinking of doing an EP later this spring.
Okay.
So.
Nice. It's fun as a fan too, there's always something to look forward to. You know, something new's coming out. You know, it's like an album. You get to sit with it for a while as a fan and listen to it and dive in, you know, and explore it. But it's kind of cool to have something new all the time, you know, to check out and listen to.
And I feel like everybody's spread so thin with our attention span. There's so much stuff released. So it works. It just works with the way we live. It's singles right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I was wondering about that, like, you know, in this world of streaming, do you think like the role of the full length album has kind of taken a back seat, and what do you think is going to happen with that?
I do think that it has taken a back seat, for better or worse. I mean, I love albums, but I find myself when I'm like streaming music, listening to like a bunch of random artists on playlists or whatever it is. I feel like playlists are almost the thing that most people pay attention to right now.
No, that's kind of interesting that you say that. I think that's kind of interesting. It gives the audience can kind of shape what they're listening to, you know, like albums, you know, there's always concern about, okay, so what song's first, what song's last, what do we put in between, what's the order, how is this going to flow and feel? And now it's almost like all us fans, we can put together our own little like, playlist, I guess, you know,
right.
And shape how that hour of music or whatever it is going to go. So that's kind of cool. Do you think it's almost a benefit that way for the fans that it's more interactive perhaps?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's like some benefits and some downfalls. One downfall that I see is like there will be artists who maybe can get a lot of streams on Spotify or whatever it is, but their fan base remains relatively small, so they don't have like a lot of power when they put out new music. It's kind of all in the hands of like the tech companies or whatever.
Right.
So that part kind of sucks. But on the plus side, like smaller artists like myself are able to, like, if we're added to a playlist or you know, big playlist or something, we're able to like get a lot of listeners and try to like cultivate new fans in some way. So
right,
it's both good and bad, I think.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see, huh? I mean, there's good and bad to all of it. So Nick, we've been talking about you know, the way people release stuff, you know, streaming and albums and things like that. Let's get back into the music and play some folks some more of your music. I'm going to try to kind of go in a chronological order here.
Sure.
The next one would be Daybreak, I believe, released in October. Is there a story behind this one or anything you'd like to tell folks about it?
Well, when I released the first song, Peace and Quiet, with this project, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just kind of do like instrumental music. And that was kind of the idea.
Okay.
And then I think I was in the studio, like just working on like trying to come up with a new idea, and sort of just started singing over top of what I had already laid down. And I was like, oh, well, I guess maybe this won't be just a instrumental project. It felt right.
Right.
And now all the releases are probably going to have vocals for the most part now.
Well, I'm glad. I love it. I love your writing and I love your voice. I mean, the whole thing's got such a cool feel to it. It just like, I don't know, it feels like a summer morning or something, you know.
Good.
You know, so well, let's get into it. This is Daybreak from Sweet and Lonely, and you're listening to it right here on The Sound on 89.5 KQAL.
Tired of your new friends, get yourself
That was Daybreak from Sweet and Lonely, and Sweet and Lonely is a project from Nick Elstad. We know him from Sleeping Jesus before, and we have Nick on the phone with us today. Nick, it says that you wrote, produced, mixed it, and mastered all this stuff yourself. Was that an artistic decision, or did it just come out of necessity? How did that come about?
A little bit of both, honestly.
Okay.
I wanted to definitely get back into learning how to like mix my own music more, and just see things through fully by myself. I think that's kind of like, it can be empowering as an artist, even though I love like working with the band, obviously too. But it also was kind of a necessity, just like not a lot of money coming in during the pandemic, and just finding a way to make it work, really.
Right. Well, it's kind of interesting too when you do the entire process yourself. I think your perception changes of it all. You know what I mean? And I think it's good practice. It I don't know. It gets your brain moving in different ways, right? When you do things you're not used to doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, each decision of the process starts to become a little more. You become a little more aware of it, I think.
Does that affect like the way you write it all then? When, new things like that kind of start happening in your brain, does it alter the direction?
Yeah, honestly, with this project, I have sort of created like the groundwork or the beats to the songs without even having a melody or anything in mind a lot of times.
Oh, wow.
So it's just been like a feel sort of thing, like what feels good. Whereas in the past with like Sleeping Jesus, a lot of times I sat down with a guitar or like a piano with those songs and like wrote those songs first. So it's been a completely different way to work on things, which has been cool.
Nice. Did you play all the instruments as well?
Yep. So far I've played everything on all the tunes.
Cool. Oh, that's a really cool thing, because then you see, I mean, we mentioned Sleeping Jesus before, we've seen you in that, but it's cool to see what comes out of you when it's like 100% just the one person,
Yeah.
It's
and
kinda...
with Sleeping Jesus, that's totally turned into like a collaborative effort with the band. Like
Nice.
Everybody's doing their own part, which is really fun to see. And I'm glad that project has turned into that.
You mentioned before that you thought it might start out as instrumental, but I've noticed, and you have videos. I want to mention that too. You have videos for these tunes, and there's lyrics on the videos. So I'm wondering, what role do the lyrics play in your mind? Like, is that super important, or is that kind of just fit the mood? What's behind the thought process of putting those lyrics on there?
Yeah. Sorry, my dog is like.
Oh, that's
squeaking a toy.
That's okay. Yeah, I can hear
it. Lyrics for me, they are very important for me, but a lot of times they're an afterthought.
Okay.
It's kind of melody first for me to get the pull like some sort of emotion out of a song, and then I find that the lyrics usually find their way into that melody.
Cool. Just kind of coming from the feeling. So you kind of build it from the ground up, it sounds like, kind of like the beat and the feel, the melody, and then you put that finishing touches with the lyrics on there, huh?
Yep.
How about those videos? I mean, you got some really cool visuals going on that I think really fit the tunes well. Who's producing those for you? Are you doing it, or?
Yeah, that's been me and my wife, Leah, have been doing those together.
Nice. Oh, they're
also
so fun.
Out of necessity, kind of, but also it's just been a lot of fun to like get together on a weekend and like come up with something creative that you can do at home, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
The what was it? The latest tune, Crawling Home When the Morning Comes. I love the video for that. It just, I don't know. It feels happy. I think maybe that's where I got it in my head. Like it feels like a summer morning,
Yeah. That we did that when it was like so cold. It was like -20 or something.
Oh, wow.
Out, and we were like, okay, well, I guess the plan was to maybe do some stuff outside, and then we're like, I think we're going to stay inside and film this.
Right. Oh, for your sake and the gear,
Yeah, honestly.
Well, let's play another tune for folks here. This next one we're going to play is Best Years. This was released in November 2020. Anything you want to tell people about this tune?
I feel like this song was kind of a turning point for me. I was like, okay, this is kind of what I want this project to sound like going forward. So in that way, it was like a really exciting song to make.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, here it is. This is Best Years by Sweet and Lonely, and we are talking to Nick Elstad of Sweet and Lonely today. So check it out. Best Years right here on The Sound on 89.5 KQAL. And that was Best Years from Sweet and Lonely. And we have Nick Elstad, the creative mind behind Sweet and Lonely, on the phone with us today. Nick, so we were talking a little bit about the videos. And this tune, Best Years, the video for it, you've got a little portable recorder you're singing into. It kind of made me think, I wonder if you're really into some vintage gear and stuff like that. Is that the case? Or
I do. I love like old things. For their nostalgia, but I mean, most of the time when I'm creating music, it's all pretty new gear.
Okay.
And a lot of the songs that I've made for this project have been like almost entirely done in the computer, minus like some guitars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you is there any music gear, like vintage gear, that you kind of geek out about sometimes, or?
I mean, I love Moog synthesizers and
Nice.
old synths and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's kind of whatever I can get my hands on to get the job done. Mostly.
Right.
Yeah.
The sound is the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So do you use like plugins that emulate some of that old stuff, or?
Yeah, sometimes I will use like tape saturation plugins and like plate reverbs and stuff like that to kind of get like a 70s sort of vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it works. It totally works. Do you think some of that gear itself, or those sounds, that you use, does that ever kind of turn into inspiration? Does that kind of guide where the tune goes?
Yeah. I think so. A lot of times, honestly, it's like starting. I never really get excited about an idea unless the sonic like thing that I'm starting with excites me or like brings some emotion to me.
Nice. Yeah. And I tell you what, like I said before, I really dig the feel and the sound of this project. Super cool. We mentioned Sleeping Jesus a little bit before. What's in store for that now that you're up there and doing this project?
Yeah, well, once things continue to open up, we're definitely going to get back on the horse, and I'll probably drive down for practices or whatever. But we'll be planning some shows eventually, and we have been working on an album actually for like the last 2 years. So
Ooh, nice.
That's getting really close to being finished, and that's really exciting. So hopefully sometime in 2021, you'll see that.
Excellent. So maybe by the time we're having shows again, we might have a new Sleeping Jesus record, huh?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea, hopefully.
And you mentioned that you might have an EP or something from Sweet and Lonely.
Yeah, that's like the next thing I've been working on with this project. I have a few songs that I was going to continue to keep putting out everything as a single, but there was a couple songs that I've written that kind of feel good together. So
Okay.
I was like, well, I can kind of do whatever I want with the project. So
Right.
that just seemed like the next logical thing to do.
Okay, nice. So we'll hear more tunes that we haven't heard from Sweet and Lonely, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Sounds good. How about plans for live? Like when things do open up in their shows, would you take this project live as well?
I thought about that a little bit. Right when I first started, I was like, definitely not going to do anything live with it. This is like something for me to do in my downtime.
Mm-hmm.
But I've definitely thrown the idea around in my head now of like maybe doing some shows at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows, though?
Yeah. What do you think that would look like? Would it be like a full band or you and some machines, or how would that go down, you think?
I think it would probably be me and a few people plus some machines.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe like a smaller sort of group. Maybe like
Cool.
a drummer and a bass guitarist or something.
Uh-huh. Keep it minimal, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I dig it. We're kind of going to wrap things up here. We've got one more track to play for people. And we've been talking to Nick Elstad. He is the creative mind behind Sweet and Lonely. They're based out of Minneapolis. Many of us know Nick from Sleeping Jesus here in Winona. Nick, we can find you on Bandcamp, Facebook, all streaming services, I'm assuming, or most of them?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, great. So check out your Spotify, your iTunes, whatever you use, and go to Bandcamp and purchase some Sweet and Lonely stuff. Support this stuff because it's fantastic music, and it's really good stuff. And check out the videos. I love the videos personally, Nick.
Thank you.
They make me feel good. It's good morning stuff, and I think that's why I listen to it in the morning. It makes me feel good. So
Good, yeah. It shouldn't. It's not supposed to be taken too seriously. I think that's the beauty of it.
Right, for sure, for sure. Well, Nick, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. It was good to talk to you again, and can't wait to see you guys see you do something live again so we can see you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure. Well, this is the last track here we're going to play is Crawling Home When the Morning Comes. This is from Sweet and Lonely, Nick Elstad. This was released in February of 2021. And Nick, thanks so much, and we will talk to you later.
Sounds great. Talk to you later.
Can I come back to your place, just like we used to do? We're gone when the morning comes by, like nothing ever changed. These days I can hardly make sense of the nights we spent together. We were young, we were young, we were young. Run around for a while. Turn your back on the one that you love. Crawling home when the morning comes. We can't forget this happened. Talk till we both pass out. And then the feeling passes. I'll go sleep on your couch. These days I can hardly make sense of the nights we spent together. We were young, we were young, we were young.
Thanks again to Nick Elstad of Sweet and Lonely for joining us tonight on The Sound. For more information on Sweet and Lonely, find them on Bandcamp, Facebook, or your favorite streaming service. For more deep dives into local and regional albums, tune into The Sound every Wednesday night at 6 right here on 89.5 KQAL. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and we've just heard from Nick Elstad with Sweet and Lonely on The Sound. Thanks for listening to The Sound. The Sound is produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us online at kqal.org. Theme music for The Sound provided by Mike Terrell of Fires of Denmark.